Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to see how to upload large files using Amazon S3 and Spring Boot. So we are going to use an existing Spring Batch project in order to apply some examples and use cases. But before that, guys, please subscribe if you are not yet, and please leave a comment and like this video right now. Right now, please. I will appreciate because it will help this channel to grow up and I will be more motivated to release more videos. So thank you and let's go. So let's take a look what we have done in our previous video. So in the last video, we have created a Spring Batch application which exports the data. So it reads from a database table, filter the data or process the data and write it to a CSV file. And then we have created another step, which is a tasklet step, which has a single responsibility. The responsibility is to get the file and upload it to an AWS S3 bucket. So far so good, guys. Now let's think a little bit more about the size of the file. Now let's suppose that we have here this file which the size is 2 GB and we want to upload it. So you can consider it and you can say, okay, it's okay to upload it like that. But sometimes we can think, okay, we are going to notice some delay. This is what we call by latency, right? Because the latency refers to delay or the time that the data takes to travel from the sender to the receiver. I'm not trying to tell you that only the size of the file will cause the latency, but for example, we can also have latency if we have our servers, so the sender and the receiver servers in different regions. So let's suppose that our sender is located in USA and the receiver is located in, let's say, in Europe, okay? Of course, we can play with region and so on, but what I'm trying to tell you guys is that the distance between the server also can be the cause of the latency. But okay, let's focus on our video. So in AWS S3, we are allowed to upload in a single put. So in a single put, we are allowed to upload the size that are smaller than 5 GB. Okay, in a single put. So more than 5 GB, we cannot upload it. So that's the reason that AWS suggests, so if let's say, if the size of your file is larger than 100 megabytes, you should consider using the multi-part upload capability. So this is what we are going to do in this video. So we are going to talk about multi-part uploads. So we are going to implement multi-part uploads, but before that we need to understand how does it work. So in multi-part uploads, if we have a large file, we are going to break this large file into smaller chunks, okay, or parts, and then we are going to upload these parts individually. So this is the concept of multi-part upload. And in the end, let's suppose that all the parts, all the chunks are already in the bucket. What the AWS S3 will do, actually, not only AWS, but we are talking about AWS, will do is it will gather all the parts, okay, all the small parts into a single file. So in your bucket, you will have your large file. But instead of transferring the large file, we break it into smaller parts, okay? So we are going to implement this, but what we are going to use here is AWS CRT-based S3 client. So this is just a client, okay? Don't think that we are going to introduce here another, let's say, technology or something like that. But why we are going to use it? So AWS CRT client is very nice because it offers more performance and reliability. So you can, for example, read this post. As you can see, just go to this link here, okay, and read a little bit more. But this is actually what we are going to do, okay? So the CRT actually stands for AWS Common Runtime, more performance and more reliability, and it's very nice for asynchronous operations, like, for example, multi-part uploads, okay? So this is what we are going to use, and as a proof, you can see here some improvements. So it's actually better. So this is the CRT-based S3 client that we are going to use. It's actually better than the existing S3 asynchronous client. Okay, and you can also see here some improvements for example, to get object, to put object, to copy object. Everything is on AWS documentation. Okay, you can just go there and read a little bit more. Now let's go. So we have our Spring Batch application, reader, processor, writer. You can use any other Spring Boot, let's say project. For example, you can have a microservice. It will be the same, okay? A microservice that you are going to upload some objects or file to a bucket. So we are going to have our tasklet, which will be responsible to upload, okay, the files using multi-part upload and CRT client. So now let's go to the code, and we are coming back here after all. So now let's run. As always, we are here on our IntelliJ IDE, and as you can see, we are going to use the feature branch, okay, upload to S3. So as always, the first thing that we are going to do, we need to add some more dependencies. Let's go here to our browser, and I think the first dependency that we are going to use is the Spring Cloud AWS Starter S3. So let's get it. So let's just get the dependency. Yes, this is the dependency that we need. Let's grab this dependency and paste it here on our POM XML. I think for now I don't need the version. Now the next dependency is the S3 Transfer Manager. So let's just get the dependency S3 Transfer Manager. Let's paste the dependency here. And now the last dependency that we need is the one that will allow us to use the SDK for CRT. As we were talking about, CRT is the one that provides more, let's say, performance, reliability, and so on. So let's get the CRT dependency. So just like this, and here, let me see, AWS CRT. So just like that. Let's get this dependency and let's paste it here. We need one more dependency. The dependency itself is the Spring Cloud AWS dependencies. As we can see here, we are going to get one more, let's say, dependency management, right? We are going to add here on the dependency management, and the type will be also POM, and the scope is import. So now let's go to our browser and let's get the Spring Cloud AWS dependencies. So just like that, Spring Cloud AWS dependencies is this one here. Okay, we can just get it like that. Now we can paste it here in this section, which is the POM. As we can see here, dependency management, and we have here the section dependencies, and we are going to add one more dependency. And here we need to specify also the scope. I think it's missing the scope. So the scope will be import, just like that. So in that order, I think now we will not have any more. Yes, so now everything is okay. So this is what we have in terms of dependency. We just add 3 dependencies here. The most important dependency here is this one here, the CRT. So we add one more here on dependency management section. One dependency, which is the Spring Cloud AWS dependencies. So now let's go to some configurations. So after having our dependencies here, I think the next thing that we are going to do, let me just take a look here. So we have our tasklet, right, which uploads the file to S3 using the normal AWS or Amazon S3 client. And do you remember, guys, as always, as we can see here, for Spring Boot, okay, for the projects that we have in Spring Boot, sometimes we have some configurations which are very nice using on application properties. So Spring, some auto configuration stuff. So for example, when we pass here Spring data source username and password, actually we didn't create a data source, right? We didn't instantiate data source. But as you can see here, in order to use, let's take a look here. In order to use the Amazon S3 client, we had to create our bean, right? It was not an auto configuration or something like that. So we can, for example, use Spring, as we can see here, as we have the Spring Cloud AWS dependencies and the Spring Cloud AWS starter for S3. Now we can rely on Spring instead of having all these custom properties that we have created here. Okay, so for example, what I mean is when we are using Spring Cloud AWS, we can just use, for example, Spring Cloud.aws, as you can see here, and then we specify the S3, right? And we say, okay, the endpoint, just like that. So now we are going to use this endpoint here, just like that. And now we can continue like having some configurations for S3. For example, specifying, let's say, specifying the credentials, right? Access key, just like that. We can pass here our access key. Remember, never leave it like that. Put it in some way secure, such as HashiCorp Vault. Never leave it here exposed. I'm just using here because of I want to make this video very simple in terms of explanation. So now let's add also our secret key. Just like that. So here we paste our secret key like this. And I think the next thing that we need to pass also, if you remember guys, we were talking about the region and so on. So the Spring Cloud AWS need the specification, okay, of the region itself. So just like this. For example, here we paste the region. Let me just go here and let's grab here the region that we are going to use. So like this, for example, let's go back here. So this is our region now. And the last thing that we need to add also, as we can see here, we had something called by with path style access enabled, right? So as we are relying on auto configuration, we need also to provide it. So that's the reason we are going to add here, just like this, and let's say true. So as you can see, now actually we don't need anymore, okay? We don't need this bean anymore. Of course, we can leave it like that, but I think for instance, let me just comment it, okay, because we don't need it anymore. Sometime you will need to create your own client, you need to add some more configuration, but you can just read the documentation because Spring Cloud AWS provides a documentation. So for example, you can just go here, Spring Cloud AWS, okay, and you can see here, and you can, for example, learn a little bit more, okay, about Spring Cloud AWS. But now let's go back to our example. So here we have our configurations, and now this is the time that we need to start implementing our multi-part upload. So in order to implement the multi-part upload, I think the first thing that we are going to do, let me just minimize it and let's go to presentation mode. So this is the place that we are going to use the CRT, right? And S3, let's say transfer manager, as we were discussing in the beginning of this video. Remember guys, we have this method here, right? And this is the place that we were uploading the file, as we can see here. In this line, we just use the AWS put object. And if you read a little bit the documentation, as we have done in our previous video, we can see that it uploads. Now this is the time that we are going to use another approach. Let's go back here. So yeah, let's go back here. Now the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to use the upload file request. So in order to create a request, okay, but before that, as you can see, we don't need this anymore because it was from our previous video. Instead, we are going to inject here an instance of S3, okay, transfer manager, just like that, S3 transfer manager. So having the S3 transfer manager, let's go here, okay, let's just start creating here. we are going to have here the upload file request, okay, and we are going to build it, and we are going to say, okay, put object request, just like that. So let's call it by builder, just like this, and the builder will receive, okay, the bucket name. So where we have the bucket name, we have the bucket name here. So if you remember, in our previous video, we have specified here the bucket name. So let's go back here. No, actually it's here, right? So here, right, we specify the bucket name. So let's just say the bucket, which is this one here. And after specifying the bucket name here, we can say, okay, now we need to specify the key. So what is the key? The key actually will be the object name. So the object name represent, in our case, okay, the file name, just like that, okay? This is our DTO, so you can just understand from our previous video. So here you paste the file name, okay, after the key. So after having the key, then we need to specify, for example, the source, okay? So the source, we can just use the paths, okay, paths that get. So we are going to get, actually, we are getting the path where the file is stored. So for example, we have our file, let's say on our disk, for example, here, right? If you remember in our previous video, this is the file. So we just specify the file as we have here on our root directory. We just specify here, right, the path. So the source is this file here. So specifying the file name using the paths that get like that. So after having it like that, we can now build like this. And I'm going to use the autocomplete. So we can just call it by upload file request, like this. So now I think we don't need this code from our previous video, okay? Now this is the place that we need to use the S3, okay, transfer manager. So let's call it by S3 transfer manager, like that. So remember, let me go back here a little bit on our slides. Yes, this is what I was telling you guys. We are going to use CRT-based S3 client and the S3 transfer manager. So that's the reason I was telling you guys to read a little bit more this documentation. But you can just follow me and we will get there. So we are going to use this S3 transfer manager. So S3 transfer manager, just like that. And we are going to use the method upload file, which receives upload file request, this one here. So let's just use it here, upload file request, and I'm going to autocomplete it. So when we use the S3 transfer manager, this is the one that use the CRT. So if you take a look here in the documentation, you can see that it's very nice to use when we are transferring, okay, single object or even a collection of objects, okay, to an Amazon S3 bucket. So as you can see here, we have amazing throughput and reliability. Okay, so this is the one that we were talking about. So I'm just trying to make you guys to read a little bit more the documentation. Now, let's go back here. Now that we have uploaded the file, right? The next thing that we are going to do is, I think, so let's just use the file upload and let's call the completion, okay? And then let's use the method join because this is an asynchronous operation, okay? After using the join method, I think we can just remove, right, this log here, and let's log something new. Let's just log if the upload succeed. So in that order, let me just log it like that. For example, upload like succeed, just like that, okay? And here, what we are going to use, we are going to use the completion, this one here, okay, the completed file upload. So completed file upload, let's get the response, right? So we are going to get if the response is success. And here, so I think here we have a typo, just like that. And here we are going to use, okay, so we are going to log it like that. So this is the first part. So let's just leave the presentation mode and let's run our application. But before that, let me just see. Okay, I have my Docker running. So the image, right? The Docker Compose is here. So I have the container for Postgres and min.io running. So now this is the time that we need to launch our application. Let's run our application. So application has started. So now I think the next thing that we need to do, my mistake, we need to change here the schedule. So instead of having, for example, a cron as we want to test it right now, let me just put here, for example, a fixed delay. Remember guys, we have been talking about the fixed delay and so on. Now let's run our application. So the application run. Yes, as we can see here in the log, file upload successfully. And then, okay, but before that we have here this upload succeed true. So the upload succeed true is the one that we have just written here. Okay, so this one here. So what we are trying to achieve here, let's go back to our browser and here let's check our min.io. Okay, so let's just use the credentials. Remember, we have the credentials here on our project, as you can see, for example, here, okay? These are the credentials. And now let's check our bucket. So now we can see that we have a new file here, okay? Of course, the file is not so big, okay? But I tried to add more, let's say, records on the database. We have I think, 11,000 to export, but it's not big enough. But anyways, this is just a test, okay? We want to see it using the CRT-based client. So this is the CRT-based client. So, and now someone can ask me, okay, what is some other advantages of using the CRT-based client? Well, let's go back to our presentation. So as we are talking about the multi-part upload, right, where we break down the large files, okay, the large file into smaller chunks or part. And so when we implement the multi-part upload with CRT-based client, apart of having amazing performance and throughput, the CRT-based client offers a possibility to keep tracking the progress. So the progress of our upload. We can, for example, monitor each part's status and the total bytes transferred. Okay, so as we can just see here, so we will see it in practice. But remember, we can track, okay, the status of each part, okay, in terms of bytes and so on. So the CRT-based client also has some improvement in terms of error handling. So let's take a look here, an example where the upload fails. So in this case, the CRT-based client is amazing. So if a part fails to upload, we can detect it immediately and the CRT will retry only this portion that failed, avoiding the need to restart the entire upload. So, for example, instead of retrying the all upload, right, the all parts upload, we will retry once again until we succeed. Okay, so this is very nice feature that CRT-based client also offers to us. Now, I think we can go in practice. Let's go to our IntelliJ and let's see how, for example, we can track or monitor, as we can see here, the progress of each part. Okay, in terms of bytes or something like that. Let's play a little bit more. This is the concept. So now that we are back here on our IntelliJ, let me just once again make it more visible in terms of project structure. Well, in terms of progress, we can use, for example, here, this file upload, okay? As we can see here, there is a method, okay, called progress. We can pause, we can do like different stuff here, but let's just use here progress. We are going to use the snapshot and let's say, okay, we can see how many things we have here. For example, transferred bytes, right? Ratio transferred and remaining bytes. So we can explore, okay, all of these let's say functionalities, but for now let's just use the remaining bytes because we want to see the remaining bytes that still need to be uploaded. Okay, so let's use it like that. So it will return us a optional long. Okay, so this optional long, let's just call it by remaining bytes optional. So just like that. And yeah, here we are going to use the remaining bytes optionals. I think what we can do here, let's just use here a do. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do, let's paste it here, okay, inside. And yeah, for now, for example, let me just copy this, let me put it here, okay, because we are going to use it like that. And so let's say remaining bytes optional, okay, will be this one here. So now that we have here our do, and what we are going to do, we are going to print, okay, so we are going to print. So let's see if remaining, so it's something like that. So as it's an optional, right, Java optional, so we are going to do if present. So if we still having some bytes remaining to be uploaded, okay, we are going to print it. Okay, so let's call it by remaining bytes, just like that. And here is the place that we are going to print. For example, let's just use here the log.info, and let's say just like that, for example. And I think it's better to break it to the new line, but I will do. So let's just copy this just like that. I know that we only have one line, but I will refactor it later. So here, let's just log, let's say remaining bytes, okay, remaining bytes to transfer, okay, and here we print the remaining bytes to transfer, just like that. So the remaining bytes. So this is the way that we are logging. And as you can see, I don't like to put it like that. So in that order, I think, I don't know if it will be visible for you guys, but let me just put it like this, maybe will be. Okay, that's helping. But anyways, so this is what we are logging here. And now let's complete, right, our, let's say, do while. As because we don't know how many bytes we still having to upload. Okay, that's why we are doing do while, or we can do, for example, while true or so on. But you understand the concept. So here we are going to use the remaining bytes optionals, right, or else, just like that. So we put here or else 0, okay, greater than 0. So what does it mean? So it means that we are going to do it, right? You understand Java, pure Java. This is pure Java, no magic here. So we are going to use it while, okay, the remaining bytes, okay, is greater than 0. Okay, so we are just going to print the remaining bytes while the remaining byte is greater than 0. That means that we still having some bytes to transfer. I think it's okay like that, right? Later we are going to refactoring. We are going to refactor this code because too many lines here. And yeah, now let's run our application once again. Remember, we can go to our min.io and let's delete, I think, let's just delete all the files that we have here. Let's call it by objects, guys. We are talking about cloud object storage. So now let's go back to our IntelliJ IDE. So here, let's run once again our application. Let me exit the presentation mode. All right, amazing. So now let's stop the application. Let's take a look here. So this is what we have, okay, in terms of let's say, logging the progress of our upload. So as I was telling you guys here, so actually what we just have done here is we were just telling, okay, for example, we transfer, right, the first file. So we upload the first object, okay, and we start printing the remaining bytes. So going back here, this is what we have. So we can keep playing, right? We can keep playing with this very nice CRT-based client, because it offers us amazing capabilities like progress tracking, efficiency in terms of byte level updates, okay? And it also provides us error handling capability. So this is very nice concept, guys. Remember, if you are uploading, okay, large files or even files that are greater than 100 megabytes, you should consider using multi-part upload. So remember, as we can see here, okay, we need to add that dependency, okay, the CRT dependency, in order to enable the multi-part feature, okay, as we have here our dependency. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Of course, this is a concept, very simple. Always think like, if you are uploading a file and the file size is larger than 100 megabytes, use the multi-part upload file, okay? And remember that you can use this one that we are talking about here, the CRT-based client, which is amazing. We have covered here in a small file. Of course, our file is not so large. So let me just go here, refresh. I didn't show you guys that we have uploaded the file here, but as you can see, the file is here. We have uploaded it using the CRT-based client, and it's amazing. So guys, keep playing with that. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please like this video, leave a comment, a random comment. I don't care what comment is that. Just leave a comment, give me your feedback, what you want to see next, because we are going to improve every single day in order to make it better, okay? So next video, we are going to talk about the download file, and we will see how to do it efficiently. So now let's go to the next video, and bye bye.